Alright, hey guys, IDSG here, and welcome to the second episode of our series called How to Use, in which I'll be teaching you guys how to use every single item in the Hypixel Bedwars shop. Now, in this episode, we'll be covering the water bucket in the utility section, and everything you can do with it. Well, not everything, but it's just some strategies and stuff that you can do with this item. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode on how to use the water bucket. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe and comment at what item in the utility section you want me to cover next if you enjoy. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so welcome to how to use the water bucket, and just like last time, I'll be going over the same few categories, and this will be for every single item that I cover on this series. Now, first I'll be giving a brief overview of the item, then I'll be discussing what this item pairs well with, and blocks are always a given for that section. Then I'll be discussing different tactics you can use with the item, and then the ideal placement of the item if it's a placeable item, what game modes it works well in, the necessity of the item, and then I'll give a final overall rating of the item at the end. So a quick overview of the water bucket. It's a item found in the utility section and is the water bucket icon. It costs 3 gold in solos and doubles and 6 gold in 3s and 4s. Its lore is great to slow down approaching enemies. Can also protect against TNT. Now, this item pairs well with pop-up towers and tools. Offensively, what you can do is place it on the side closest to the forge room of your opponent's bed defense, while you or your teammate digs into their bed defense, and that person can block themselves off with just like blocks or a pop-up tower or something if you want to be extra safe. And yeah, but do this only after you kill everyone on your opponent's team and before they respawn. So like when you say you're like approaching a team and they both come out, like let's say it's doubles, and they both come out and you manage to kill them both. Now what you can do is, if you're close enough and can get to their base before they respawn, then you can just get to the back side of their bed defense, the side closest to the forge room, and place down a water bucket, making it so they have to spend so much longer to get to you, and even to buy like tools or the blocks or anything. So this tactic just buys you time to break the bed faster. Well, not faster, but just buys you time to break the bed. Something else that may work in modes other than solo is dropping water down from way above their bed defense, and then coordinating it so that one person breaks the bed while the others keep the opposing team occupied. And this makes it so that your team takes no fall damage, and it makes it way more difficult for the opponents to get to the person breaking the bed, especially if they're like congregated away from the person breaking the bed, and it makes it so they have a mess to swim through if you can manage to kill them and they respawn. But if you fail your rush, then the opponents can just go up to your bridge after you die and just block off the water, which would force you to buy another and try again. And you most likely don't want that to happen, because then you have to spend a lot more gold. And I advise placing this especially high up, just so it's a lot harder for them to get to you. Maybe this could be work for if you bridge to height limit or something, and then just drop water down off the side and then jump down once the water flows all over. Now defensively, you can place it on your own bed defense to help deal with TNT dropping, but this requires precise timing or good prediction to pull off successfully, just like the pop-up tower. If you place it too early, a smart opponent won't place a TNT where you think they're going to place it and move it somewhere else, and you basically just made a mess over your bed. And if you place too late, the TNT will have already exploded, and you would have just provided the team with a nice pool of water to cushion their fall damage while they break your bed. And even if you place the water, so that it covers your entire bed defense, like even before they place it, they can still just drop down on you, kill you, block off the water, and then just break your bed. And it usually works more against you than it does for you. But the neat thing about the water bucket is that you can be a little bit late on placing it. If you're not too late, like before the TNT explodes, the water should spread onto the block where the TNT was placed, and it would stop the explosion. So, but this depends on where you place it. And don't try to place the source block on the prime TNT, as it will not work since the entity is covering the whole block. I advise placing the water like on top of your bed defense nearest to the TNT on like smaller bed defenses, and placing it just like one block above your bed defense from the TNT, so that it flows onto the TNT and not make a mess over your entire bed on big bed defenses. And remember to block off the water source afterwards, so you don't have a mess on one side of your bed defense. Okay, so placing the water on top of your bed defense at all times seems good on paper, but it works more against you than it does for you in practice. While this does make people less likely to use TNT on you, it doesn't exactly save you from people with good tools, or people just straight up blocking off your water. But you can argue that placing the source higher up is a better solution to people blocking it off. But again, it doesn't stop people from just digging in with their tools to break your bed. And if you die, it just makes it way more difficult for you to get to your opponent while they break your bed if you have a big bed defense and they're on the opposite side of your bed. And smart players will just block themselves off and break the bed with their tools. And if your opponents just manage to block off your water, then you can just place TNT and blow it up anyways. And it would cost you more gold to buy again if you survive the attack. And some people will argue that water slows the player's mining speed if they're swimming water, and in vanilla Minecraft, and it won't affect the player's mining speed if they're not in water. But the thing is that Hypixel Bedwars, it spawns you in with the helmet that has Aqua Affinity 1 on it, which makes it so your mining speed is completely unaffected even while in water. So if you mine in water, it's still the same speed as if you were not in water. It doesn't slow it down at all. Some evasive tactics you can use with the water bucket are when you are running across islands, you can just place water below you on flat ground that isn't close to the void to slow your opponents down if they're nearby you, but not too close to you. So not within attacking range. So optimally, probably like 5 blocks away from you, and pray you don't have reach. And you can check how close people are behind you by toggling your perspective key, which is F5 by default, or by using the perspective mod if you have that. And if the ground isn't completely flat, you can try placing it on some ground where it would flow onto your opponent and not you. Alternatively, what you can do is place it below you as you climb a straight and linear staircase to slow anybody close behind you while you get further ahead or heal up. And so while you're climbing someone's one stack to try to get away, you can just place this down if you know someone's somewhat close behind you, and this will make them this will force them to either block off your source of water, wasting more of their time, or just they have to literally swim up to you, and this just buys you a lot more time to get away or heal up. And of course, there's always the good old MLG water bucket clutch that you can do, but it's a little bit more tricky with the water bucket in the Bedwars, because upon use of the water bucket, you don't get the bucket back, and the water will spread everywhere, which would likely slow you down if you were MLGing in in flat ground or something. But if you're jumping from a lethal height where it would kill literally anyone, you can use this to survive the fall, and kill anybody that jumps after you by blocking off the water as quickly as possible after you land. If you're way too slow with blocking it off, then they could just jump into the spots where the water is spread and manage to survive the fall, and then just beat you up when you're still in shock for why it didn't work. So you have to be really quick with blocking off the water if you want to get someone. As for the ideal placement of this item, if you're evading, then you should place this on flat ground so it can spread nicely. On defense, you should place it right next to where the TNT landed, or like on the same block on where the TNT is going to land, or where you think it's going to land. And on the back side of your opponent's bed defense after you kill the team members in quick succession before they respawn, so that the water flows into their base on offense, or right above their bed defense on offense as well. So what game modes does this work well in? It works well in all game modes for offense and evasion, but it works best on defense for solos and doubles, since TNT is more widely used there, and it's way cheaper than in 3s and 4s. While it isn't bad for defense in 3s and 4s, there's just not that much use for it, since not as many people buy TNT for rushes in those game modes, and the glass is a part of a lot of the good bed defenses there, such as like the butterfly bed defense. And it makes it a lot harder to justify the nice thick price tag of 6 gold for a water bucket instead of 12 iron for glass. Now, as for the necessity of this item, it's a useful item, but it's very, very situational. It works well on offense if you can afford it without using the majority of your gold, but it shouldn't be your go-to rush item, since you can die before even reaching your opponent's bed defense, which would waste you a lot of gold, especially in 3s and 4s. It's a good defense item if you use it properly, especially in solos and doubles, since the price tag is a lot more justifiable and TNT is a lot more common. But even on evasion, it would be much more worth it to buy gapples instead, since they're far more helpful and they heal you quickly on the run and can be used in almost any situation. But if your bed is gone and you have tons of gold and you have no idea what to do with it, the water bucket can be something you can look into buying, since it can save your life when you're nearly out of options and you're trying to just run around and collect resources. Overall, it's a alright item that you can do some niche strategies with to pull something off, but it's kind of situational and makes it hard to justify the purchase, especially for 3s and 4s. It does its job well in its niches if you use it right, but when you don't have that much gold to spend, I would advise looking to buy other things instead, unless you know that the water is the only way you're gonna ever get your opponent's bed or save your own bed. And with that, I think that wraps up this episode of How to Use. Be sure to leave a like and comment down what item you would like me to cover next in the utility section. And don't forget to subscribe while you're there as well. And yeah, don't stop gaming, guys. Peace out.